Joining us now, she is the reigning MAAC Player of the Year. She is once again having another monster year for Marist. Is currently in the top 5 in home runs, top 10 in RBIs, top 5 in slugging percentage, top 40 in batting average. We could go on and on, but she's got a busy life. But she's coming off a monster weekend. I speak of Miah McDonald joining us here and in the circle in D1 softball. I could keep going, but I know you've got stuff to do. So welcome. Thank you for taking some time to talk to us.
Thank you for having me. I'm really excited.
Let's talk about you a little bit and talk about your ball club. What have you learned about your team as we record this? You're off to another fantastic start this season as a team, 19-5. You're coming off a long trip in Tennessee where you swept there. You're getting ready for conference play. What have you learned about this team?
This team is just like a very dangerous team, especially offensively. I think that our team really works well together in producing runs, and our pitching staff this year has been phenomenal, especially Kylie Myers with throwing what a bunch of shutouts this year, going, I think she's 10-0 now on this
That's
season.
correct. Yeah.
So I think it's just we're a very dangerous team coming into this year, and it's really exciting.
Now, I'm going to read these numbers. These look like video game numbers, but you can verify that you actually did this in Tennessee. 5 homers, 15 RBIs, 6 of 14 at the plate, 7 runs scored. That's a pretty good weekend.
Yeah, it was a great weekend.
How do you feel when you're locked in like that? Do you feel like you're in a zone? Does the ball feel like a beach ball? How does it feel?
It feels amazing. I feel like I go into every at bat kind of just with an open mindset because I know from like past years I've learned that getting in my own mind kind of hinders my game in an aspect, especially when I try to overcomplicate things. So really trying to like work on my own like game and like making the pitcher work every count and seeing the pitches that she's throwing and learning from each of those, I think that really helps me in my game, especially like hitting a home run or something like that. Like I feel like I'm seeing the ball very well, especially past this past weekend. So yeah, I think making the pitcher work in all components, like drawing walks or going for an extra base hit, is important.
You mentioned this offense. You're not alone in this. Tell me about your teammates. Who are some of the other names people should remember from this offense? Because you got a lot of explosiveness from top to bottom.
Yeah. Honestly, I think our whole team should be mentioned. I think every component of this, like every person has their own like special component to the team. But off my mind, Payne Pusey in that leadoff spot, she's very dangerous. She can bunt, she can hit for power. Like I think she hit a blast this weekend, but also bunted a bunch of times. And then also having Haley R behind me, Maddie Pleasant, Bella Mannery, pretty much everyone just, is finding their way on this team to kind of contribute, and it's an amazing feeling.
And you mentioned pitching Kylie Myers. You mentioned a 10-0.60. Speak of the pitching staff and especially Kylie and how she's, kind of been your ace.
Yeah, Kai has been working every single day. I think every time we come home from a tournament, even if she thinks that she's not having like her best day, she goes into practice every day, kind of getting with Coach Joe and Coach Herb and Alyssa Grupp to kind of figure out what she needs to work on. And I think she really hones in on what she needs to work on and takes that into the next weekend. And it shows because she continues to push through and throw like shutouts and amazing games. But also too, I think the our pitching staff is very diverse. We have different types of pitching. And especially like this weekend, I thought Emma was a very standout pitcher too, coming in and closing those games for us, especially because she hasn't had the as many opportunities to get in there, but when she does, she really shows out and shows up for her team.
Speak of for the returners. How much motivation is there to kind of get back and win that conference tournament and win the NCAA's? I think a lot of people, you won that, had the regular season, but didn't get the automatic bid. Sienna did. How much does that drive the veterans, the leaders from like yourself this year?
I think it drives us a lot. I think we know that we are a really great team, especially beating the teams that we did this year. And not being able to, finish the job last year was sad and, it was kind of disappointing. But I think we're able to get that feeling back and kind of get a sense of urgency when we are playing all these games, but also taking it one game at a time and playing for each other, showing up for each other, and kind of, just getting the job done. And I think that's important going into it.
Let's talk a little bit about you first. Growing up, what got you interested in playing softball?
Well, I started with baseball at first, and then I think I started transitioning in middle school when my or middle school friend Tristan's dad kind of introduced softball to me. And then, well, because I also knew that going into high school I was going to have to transition, and softball was one of the main sports that I was going to look at for college. So, but I also had like my brothers growing up who really pushed me to be like the player I am. But it really started off in middle school whenever I started transitioning into softball.
How did you end up going to Marist?
Oh, so this story is really funny. I actually was playing against Kylie Myers in a tournament, and I it's so funny because she says this story too, but I ended up hitting a home run off of her, and I guess Coach Joe went up to her dad and was like, "Oh, I want to recruit her." And so then I went on a visit. I fell in love with it. I fell in love with his coaching ability, and I'm here.
The rest, as they say, is history. What's it like playing for Coach Ausanio? I've had him on the podcast multiple times. He's a great character, but a great mind. Obviously, has a background, played in the major leagues in baseball and everything. What's it been like playing for him?
It's an amazing feeling. It's been an amazing journey, and I wouldn't change it for the world. He really tries to give every single player an opportunity, and I think that's the one thing that I really respect and kind of follow behind him with because even if someone isn't having a great day, he still believes in every single one of his teammates. Even if in like pressure situations, he puts people in a position to succeed and he knows everybody's ability. So I think him really stressing like you know who you are in certain aspects is really important, and he is an amazing coach to play it for. So
I remember talking to him back in 2023, and that was when you came up, and that was the year you didn't play. You were out with an injury, I
yeah,
believe.
yeah,
And
traumatic.
he told me you were still a factor because
Mhm.
you helped out that team behind the scenes and helped in any way you can, being supportive. And of course, that was the season Marist would end up. You go to the NCAA tournament. You would go to the Tallahassee regional, well represented. Take me through it because that had to be mixed emotions there. Obviously, you're going through a personal injury you're trying to overcome, but yet you were so supportive of your teammates. How were you able to do that in a difficult time?
Um, I think it just showed like for me, I just knew that I couldn't be selfish in that moment. Like even if I was hurt, I could still show up for my team every day, be supportive, be someone they can talk to on and off the field. And my position la or that year in 2023 when I was hurt, was doing the chart for our hitters. So I was able to like tell them, hey, the pitcher's throwing this and this, so look out for that. And I think that really helped, especially because, we hit really well that year.
You come back after that missing that year and look better than ever. Set individual school records. You're in the top 10 and I believe RBIs, and you were up there in home runs and slugging, and then you were named MAAC Player of the Year. You become all region. Do you remember when you found out you were named Player of the Year?
I think it was, can't quite remember. Mike, do you remember where that was? I don't remember when you announced it.
It's
It's
probably
the day
top,
before,
top.
day before the tournament,
There you go.
Yeah, okay.
or 2 days before we played, the day before the
Yeah.
tournament started.
Yeah, I think we had a practice and I think they finally announced it and I found I was player of the year and it was an amazing feeling because it was important to me because I worked so hard to get to where I was at that point and it really showed that that hard work paid off.
Did you ever have doubt you'd get to that level?
I didn't have any doubt. I just didn't know how long it would take because I think my sophomore year I came off like I was a good season and kind of being hurt, I was scared that I wasn't gonna be able to, you know, have as much power because I did hurt my shoulder. Um, but every day I worked with the coaches, and I know my ability. I compete every game, so I knew that I was able to get through it.
It was tremendous. As good as you were last year, it feels like, at least right now, you're better than even last year. Do you feel you're better than last year? And if so, in what ways?
Um, I think maturity wise, I think I'm better last year or for this year because I feel like I'm just gonna have fun. It's my last year. I want to go out. I want to have fun. I want to show up for my team. Um, and I try not to put so much pressure on myself. I feel like last year coming back, I put a lot of pressure on myself to be able to perform a certain way. Whereas this year, I'm kind of just going in every game with a clear mindset and really wanting to show up for my team.
What does it mean for you and the group that has put Marist softball on the map as we talk? You're all ranked in the top 25 mid-major poll according to D1 softball. People every time now people see Marist like, hey, we know that program. There's got to be some pride in that you've helped build that into that respectability there. Where now when people look at that schedule, it's like, oh yeah, we know that team. That was the team that made the tournament. They've got some good players. What does that mean to you?
It's an amazing feeling. I think especially because like when we beat like say we beat like Notre Dame and games like that, I feel like as a team we really talk about like we can hang with anybody and it shows like to everybody in our conference in the NCAA like we are a team that will compete with you every single game.
I had a conference call earlier this year with a coach that was in your league, and asked that person about the league and describing the league. And one of the first things they brought up is like, they've got we Barris has got this hitter McDonald. She scares the bleep out of me. Uh, I, what does that mean that you have that respect from opponents, coaches in there that you're a feared hitter and a feared player to other opponents?
I mean, it means a lot, especially because, you know, sorry. It means a lot because I want to produce for my team and kind of show other teams like, hey, I'm a dangerous player. Like I'm going to make your pitcher work every count. And I shows like last year throughout the conference, like I did that. But also too, like not like to take it off from me, but like even if I'm not producing, I know like Haley R, Maddie P, Bella Mannery, like they're dangerous hitters too. So even if you walk me, like to intentionally walk me, you have to fear other people in the lineup.
Yeah, it's part of that depth that you have offensively there. How do you describe playing in the MAC there? It's always unique. Siena, the defending champ, just knocked off South Florida recently, so they're teams that are good, go under the radar. I know Quinnipiac's got good pitching there as well. I think they beat Pitt recently as well. So just talk about playing in this league.
I feel like you never know with the league like what you're gonna get because every year it's so different. Like last year, Niagara had really good pitching with Hickenbottom, um, or Sienna with Imont. Like she's a really good screwball pitcher. Like she can really make batters work, and I think that's good because then it kind of shows us like a difference between like playing these bigger schools. Like when we play the bigger schools and then we play people in our conference, there's similarities, whereas we can go into every game fighting for the win title. But the playing in the conference is good feeling.
Do you have any favorite athletes growing up?
Um, Favorite athlete, I would say Kobe Bryant because I was a real big basketball fan, but um I don't really have like huge athlete or like favorites.
That's okay. Yeah. What's your goals post softball?
So I obviously want to keep softball somewhat in my life, but I'm not sure like when that will be. But I'm going to University of St. Joseph's in Connecticut for nursing.
Hey, good for you.
Thank
That's
you.
good. We need that. Is coaching, would that be a way that you maybe down the road consider for softball?
I think down the road it's something I could definitely consider. But I don't know yet. We'll see.
Well, you got time. You got time to figure all that. You got some softball to take care of first there
Yeah.
from there. And I guess two more questions before I let you go. What's going to be the keys for your team now as you begin conference play and this run? What are some of the keys to get back and win that automatic bid and get back to the tournament? What are some things you all have to work on and get better at?
I think we just have to work on like making sure we're taking every game at like one game at a time. I think last year like we knew we were good, but I think we kind of look to the future like, oh, we're gonna win MAACs, like, but we need to really take in one game at a time, which we have this year, which I'm proud of, and just being able to communicate with each other and kind of relay, like, when we're playing, like, at least for batting, relay like what those pitchers are throwing each other because in these past tournaments that we've been doing, like we have been communicating like, hey, this pitcher's throwing this and this and this, and then we have been learning from that quickly. So I think taking one game at a time, communicating, and kind of just playing how we know is going to be the thing that we need to do to win.
For people that haven't watched your team play, how would you describe your team? What do you want people to say when they watch Marist softball?
I want them to know that we're a team that's never going to give up. Even if we're down, we're going to keep fighting to the very end. And that's something that people should fear because we're a dangerous team. Um, we will give everything we got out on that field. We compete every pitch, every time we're behind our pitchers. And yeah, I think that we're just a dangerous team to play against.
And then my last question, where the resume kind of backs up this point. I think you're going to go down as one of, if not the greatest player to wear that jersey colors. So my question to you is, years from now, when an alumni comes back and you come back to campus and people bring up the name Miah McDonald, what do you want people to say about you?
I just want them to say that I like gave everything I had to the game of softball because I truly did. Um, I left everything out on that field. I was passionate about the game, and I really wanted to make Marist proud.
It's very good. Well, you have done that and then some. You've been a great representation there for sure. And I know Coach Ausanio is proud of you. Have you taken him deep out? Does he throw batting practice?
He does throw batting practice.
What's that like?
It's fun. It's fun being able to hit his pitches pretty far.
Have you talked smack to him like you take it
Yeah,
deep? Okay, very
I do.
good.
He likes to try to throw in change ups and stuff like that. And whenever you get a good bat off of that, and he is always like, "How did you do that?" And it's really funny. But it's fun.
That's pretty awesome. You could say you've taken a former Major League Baseball pitcher deep, home run. Not many could say that. That's pretty good. Well, hey, listen, it's been awesome to get to know you. Congrats on all the success you've done and what you've overcome to this point. Wish you the best of luck the rest of the way. Thank you so much for taking time to talk to us. I know it's busy with being a student athlete over there, but you've done great things there. And send my best to Coach. And thanks for coming on here on In the Circle on D1 Softball.
Thank you so much for having me. This was amazing.